Hello everyone and welcome to Act 4 of Random Acts of Squirrel. Today is Behold the Wonder of the Dad Joke. So according to Merriam-Webster, which I looked up on my phone, come on phone. It's not playing nice. There we go. Looked up on my phone. The definition is a wholesome joke of the type said to be told by fathers with a punchline that is either often an obvious or predictable pun, or a play on words that is usually judged to be endearingly corny or unfunny. I actually think they're kind of important. I don't know exactly what inspired this, but I felt like every other thought I had was like way too heavy for what I wanted to do, so why not? I kind of like dad jokes, maybe because I'm old enough I appreciate it, but I also think I was a sucker that loved those kids' books, like when you were in school and Scholastic came through and they had their library books and you could go buy your books. I wasn't the first guy to find the joke book, but I definitely did like looking through the joke book that had the really bad puns that every third and fourth and fifth grade boy seemed to like. And then you read them and tell them and think you have the most brilliant joke ever. I think what happens is those people then, they kind of evolve into dad jokes. What I like about dad jokes is there's something very simple about them. A lot of times there's something more that goes underneath them than people realize. So I devolve into the Sven and Ole versions of them. Being in Minnesota, Sven and Ole, and I had an uncle who married a Norwegian, so anytime you could have some fun poking at her, he did. So one of them kind of went like this. Sven and Ole were making some quick bucks, and they decided to go to this. They saw a sign, and the city wanted the town pole, or the flagpole painted. There was a flat fee, and whatever they could make with the paint that they bought, the money would be theirs. So Sven and Ole were measuring out the pole, trying to get to the top, and they just couldn't get up there. They were just kind of stretching and climbing up the pole and all that kind of stuff. Their buddy Lars comes by. Now Lars, when he enters, he's usually a pain in the butt. He usually complicates their very simple and silly lives. Lars looks at Sven, looks at Ole, says, "What are you guys doing?" Well, Ole proudly says, "Well, we're measuring the flagpole. We want to know how tall it is so we can maximize our paint and then get the most money back out of it." Well, Lars kind of thought, this is an interesting question. And then he proceeded to say, "Well, you know, if you took the pole and laid it flat, you could measure the length, and then you could get the same answer that you wanted." Well, Sven's like, "Oh, that's great, that's great, that's great." Well, Lars walks away. Sven looks to Ole and says, "What an idiot. We weren't trying to measure how long the pole was, but how tall it was." Ole, of course, agrees, and they proceed to try to figure out how to get to the top of the pole. What I love about these jokes is underneath it is something very simple, like a concept of kind of where they're going in definition, something obvious or a pun or a lesson that you can talk about or bring up in a softer way. So for a lot of times, these dumb jokes are moments in life where, like at work, there were some transitions going on, and so the joke that I was running through my head was, I'll pick on Sven and Ole because it's fun. Sven and Ole saved enough money from winning the lottery. They went on a safari. They always wanted to do that, always wanted to go on the safari, always wanted to see these wild animals that they saw in the Duluth Zoo, and they were just excited. So they get out there, they're in their Range Rover, got about 2-3 miles away from the base camp, and the Range Rover stalls. About a half a mile before that, they were talking about this amazing pride of lions. This has fantastically large male lion with this huge mane. And the driver said, "We're going to have to make a run for it. You stay here, they're going to tear apart the Range Rover. You guys aren't going to make it. We got to get to this base camp over there." Well, they start running. As they're running, Sven, huffing and breathing, goes, "So, Ole, do you think you can outrun a lion?" Sven says, "I don't know, but I can outrun you." And there's some days I just realize, like, you have the darkest thoughts that you want. And if you put it off in a stupid joke, you can say exactly what you're thinking or how you're feeling in the world. And it comes off smoother. People understand it. You're not rude. You're not crass, that kind of thing. Because that's kind of where my head was at work, where I'm like, if there's all these changes going on, I need to get ahead of it. Otherwise, I'm going to be taken down. So I don't have to outrun the lion, which is whatever fear or impending doom I saw. I just have to make sure I'm ahead of everybody else. I think another thing that makes the wisdom or the sort of the beauty of a dad joke is it's a really good way for the dads to create levity in tense situations. No one really laughs at the jokes, but done in the right tone, it makes it so that it creates a more peaceful environment. It breaks it up. And if he makes a joke, especially in your sort of classic nuclear families, that kind of stuff, you realize that he's okay, that he's kind of processed out of it, so he can guide you through, and then the whole family kind of calms down. I wish I had better dad jokes. Unfortunately, I got in front of the camera. I kept thinking of it, and mostly the idea of why I wanted to do this ran through my head. So I think today's going to be a shorter one. The last two got longer than I wanted anyways. So if you are following, thank you. If you aren't following and have watched the last couple of videos, please hit the subscribe button. I'd love to hear more of your opinions on it. If any of you have really good dad jokes or dad puns that you want to add on the bottom, I would love to hear them. The other thing I wanted to say is I added a couple features on my actual page. So if you click on there, one of them was what I talked about last time, and that was the random acts of cinema. I also added one thing for print, which is talking about novel. I forget what it is right now. If I was really smart and wrote it down, something that says novel, and that's going to be print. So like graphic novels, books, that kind of stuff. So if I do a specific act about, say, like a really cool book, I'm going to start making a path of those. That way, if you're more into the book thing and don't want to hear about dad jokes, then you just click on that and get those reviews. I also added a third section, which is Clatter and Discord, which I kind of like the title, so I hope it's not too witty that it's going to get lost. But it's going to be a whole list of like music reviews, shows, music-related kind of stuff. And that way, again, if you like more of the music stuff or more of a binge, just want to run through what I talked about music and didn't want to get into like the books and all that kind of thing, then you can kind of go down that list. You don't have to go through all the videos. Otherwise, thank you for your time. I hope everyone's having a good time. I look forward to talking in a couple days. And as said earlier, if you like this, share this with a friend. I think I got excited because I saw 30 views, which really is nothing in YouTube, but you got to start somewhere. So to 40, and have a great day.